Hey everyone, welcome back to Drive It Out. My name is Adam, and here at Drive It Out, you know that we are all about preserving the love of the driving experience. So yes, we do car reviews here. We do in-depth reviews. We do head-to-head comparison reviews of vehicles, and we do walk-around reviews of some of the greatest and latest vehicles around at some of the major auto shows here in the United States. But we have this playlist over here on the channel specifically for driving adventures, driving experiences, because at the end of the day, that is what car ownership is all about. What creates the nostalgia around a vehicle that is part of your automotive enthusiasm is by having great experiences with a specific vehicle. So if you have a vehicle you've aspired to for a long time and then you finally get it, but you don't really do anything with it, it just sits in the garage and you polish it and you don't want to take it out or do anything with it, your love of living life with that vehicle is going to fade eventually. You really need to have great driving experiences with the vehicles that you own. So specifically today, I want to talk about the Corvette ownership experience, specifically taking that vehicle. It's got wheels on it for a reason, and you need to get on the road with it and go do something amazing on road and or track. Maybe you are an aspiring Corvette owner, or maybe you are a new Corvette owner. I'm talking to you. Now listen, I was a Corvette fan for 30 years. I've been a Corvette enthusiast, but I finally got my Corvette not that long ago. I had it for 3.5 years, and I loved every minute of my ownership with that. My mom as well, she is a car enthusiast and has been for many years. She finally got a Corvette. She got a black C5, and we had these vehicles at the same kind of moment in time, and it was so cool to share that love for Corvette at the same time. I have a very good friend, my best friend. He lives in Denver, Colorado. I am in Kansas City, Missouri. We grew up together, and we both always dreamed of having red Corvettes. He finally got one in recent years, and so my childhood dreams of Corvette ownership finally all came to fruition in recent years, and I really want to talk about it. I had a lot of footage in the can for this, but I specifically want to talk about a driving adventure that is specific to Corvette ownership. I tell you what, you'll see in this footage, we are road tripping. Kansas City is 500 miles away from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and that is where the National Corvette Museum is. That is where the factory is, where they make the Corvette. And at the Corvette Museum, in recent years, they built the track. That's right, you can get your car out on the track, NCM Motorsports Park. And I tell you what, that is specifically the main experience I want to talk about. You really needing to have, and that I hope you have if you have a Corvette, and that is a track experience. Listen, Corvettes are amazing cars. They're so versatile. They can do so many things. I mean, I've done this multiple times. I've been to the Corvette Museum multiple times, but this specific trip you're looking at now with my mom, listen, that's a car. That's an '02 C5 Corvette. The car was 20 years old. We got up in the morning, got in it, drove 500 miles to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and didn't worry about a thing. Just drove 500 miles in that car, drove straight onto the track, and did a track experience. And then after that, we went out on the town that night and got some dinner and had some fun. And then the next day, we road tripped it back home. And you never worried about a thing. The car was ready for all of it. We were able to pack all of our stuff in it and all of that. But she had never been on track before. That's something I had been telling her for years. You've got to do. It's so much fun. You really learn what your car was designed and made to do. The engineers that work on these vehicles work so hard. So if you are, like I said, looking to own a Corvette, or you do own one now, this is something that you have to do. Corvette has done such a good job of creating this area around the museum and around the factory where you can experience this car in such a great way from all avenues. And you can go in the museum and you can look at all the history of the vehicle. So listen, why is it important to get your car on track? No, listen, when they design a new car, a Corvette or another sports car, whatever you're thinking of, they are testing and developing these vehicles not only on the road, but on the track, because they are looking to be performance vehicles in all facets. So you're talking about not just power and acceleration, but you're talking about braking, you're talking about car balance, you're talking about handling, you're talking about weight transfer in a vehicle, and they're figuring out the suspension components and how is this car going to behave, what is its attitude and demeanor going to be on a track when you're throwing it into a corner at high speed and ripping out of a corner at high speed as well. Now, this is such an amazing experience, because I'm talking to people now who've never been on track. Now, there are people who own Corvettes or other sports cars who've spent tons of hours on tracks. I get that. That's great. But the people I'm talking to specifically are maybe people who have never been on track before, and they have this nice car they found themselves with finally that they've wanted. And like, how do I get the most out of this ownership experience? And while the Corvette can do it, you can experience that ownership life by throwing your golf clubs in the back and going to the golf course every weekend. That's great. The Corvette will do it. It's an amazing sports car because you can fit that stuff in there. But if you really want to fall in love with the car all over again, even after the purchasing experience, it's about getting on track with that car, because that's where you're going to get closer to experiencing the edges of the vehicle. So you saw my mom there at the end of her track experience. She was smiling ear to ear. Now we're looking at footage from a different time. This is when I went and I met my friend Brad in 2019 at the National Corvette Museum, because now he was not just taking his Corvette, someone taking his Corvette like me and traveling to the Corvette Museum because it's something you want to do, is go there with your car at some point in your ownership experience. But he was taking part in the new ownership experience, the receiving experience. So you can get museum delivery of your new Corvette if you purchase a Corvette. And when you do that, you get to go to the Corvette Museum and pick up your vehicle fresh from the factory right there. It's a fantastic experience. We'll talk more about that in a second. But when I went there for that trip, part of what they do as a new owner of the Corvette is they let you get out and have a track experience. So what I did in my C6 is I paid for some track time so that I could get on the track at the same time as him. And you see him up there. He's in that silver C7 Corvette. This is 2019. He was purchasing a 2019 Z06, and he went out there and he got some track time. So not only did I get to have my car out there on the track, but I was enjoying getting to watch him have that experience as well. So get that track experience. It can be done there at the Corvette Museum. But now you see, this was Brad, and he was receiving his 2019 Corvette Z06 at the museum. And what a great experience that was. I got to shadow him during this experience, and he had a personal Corvette kind of concierge there with him, who was like a living, breathing owner's manual, who walked him through every little thing about his vehicle. So before he even got in it and drove away in it for the first time, he had that car really fitting him like a glove. They spent hours with him going over that car, and then got a personal tour through the museum. But here you see footage of us. I'm filming Brad, and he is getting to exit the museum in his brand new car. His Corvette person for the day is taking him out the famous garage door, that bay door there at the end of the hall, and you pull out in front of the Corvette mural, and then you are let loose and set free with your brand new car for the first time. And it's so cool to see ownerships initially take their vehicles for the first time in this way, because they're really getting to learn the car so much, so that when they get in it and start driving, all the little things are kind of already taken care of. They've learned all the buttons and all the settings, and they've got the gauge cluster set up the way they want, and they have the center stack and the screen set up the way they want there. They've got their seats and their memory seats all done. They aren't sitting there questioning how to use the climate control, or where's the button to open the trunk, or how do I get the gas tank open to put gas in this, or whatever it is. But knowing those little things first, if this is your first time getting this vehicle, everybody needs to learn these things, right? But rather than picking up your car at the dealership and then going and learning those things on the fly, you can know all that stuff first before you even take off. And I tell you what, that was really cool to see him get to experience that. But I tell you what, if you've never been to the Corvette Museum, you're seeing images here of touring through the Corvette Museum. They had a big sinkhole in 2014 that you can watch, look at online. That was a real famous event, and now you can look down through the floor at how deep the sinkhole went. That was a major event. That sinkhole swallowed up a lot of cars early one morning. Luckily, no people were in there, and they were able to repair some of those Corvettes, and some of them they weren't. You'll also get to look at a lot of Corvette history and past concept cars, and you learn how the car was developed and where it came from, the idea of where it came from, where the name came from. It's just such a great way to experience Corvette and everything it's all about, kind of all in one spot. And you can do it in many ways. If you're doing it taking delivery of a new car, or if you just want to go there in your car. Let's say you want to drive there in whatever car, just get yourself to the Corvette Museum. You can pay to go have track experience in one of the museum's cars. And in one of their new Corvettes, you can pay for ride-alongs with a professional driver. You can take pretty extensive classes if you want to pay for more extensive time there to really learn how to drive on track and pull that performance out of that vehicle and out of yourself. That's really what it's about. So listen, guys, this is something that we've done a lot of Corvette content here on the channel, but this is something that I kind of passed over and hadn't talked in detail yet, and I just didn't want to go any further in all these driving experiences that we have coming up here on this part of the channel without getting these last details out for Corvette. I've been around Corvettes for many, many, many years. You have no idea. And if you watch our 8th generation drive of the Corvette that we recently put out, where I drove all in one day, that was a dream come true. You can kind of tell that I'm a big Corvette fanboy. I always have been, and I kind of know the car's history inside and out. But you don't have to know all that to really be in a Corvette guy, or to really be a Corvette girl, or feel like you're part of the club. The point is, whatever car you have or you're getting, whatever sports car it is, I hope that you really take it and make it your own. And a big part of that is going on adventures with it, having experiences in it. But specifically, if you have a sports car, performance car of some kind, you really need to look at doing a track experience, because it is unlike anything else you've experienced in that vehicle. Driving on the road, you're not going to experience the same things. You're just not. But Corvettes are unbelievable vehicles. Obviously, they went through a major change this last generation. They're a mid-engine car now. They truly are an American exotic car. They're an American supercar. And whatever year or generation of Corvette you're getting, you really need to do a driving experience in your car, because it's so fantastic. I've been back and forth to Bowling Green, Kentucky many times, and it's worth it every single time. But check out our 8th generation Corvette video where I drive all generations in one day and kind of compare them, because comparing those cars in real time is an amazing thing to do, to experience that kind of evolution through a car all in one moment. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you come back to the channel. Look for more driving experiences coming soon. Again, I've got a Porsche one coming up, a BMW one coming up. I really enjoyed my one with the Toyota Winter Driving School last year as well. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next video.